What's up, guys? In this video, we're gonna unbox the Contour SCT and put it to work on the Little Red. All right, so we've got a box from Eastwood today, and inside is a Contour SCT. This is gonna be our first time using this tool. I've heard great things about it. I've used drum sanders in the past, but this solves a lot of problems that we've had with drum sanders in the past. So we're gonna take these and these drums out of here, and we're gonna go over what these are and what we got. Let's see. And this, done with that. All right, so let's see here. So we got the Contour Abrasive, 120 abrasive, 120 stripping drum. So this is gonna have like real heavy Scotch-Brite with sandpaper in between, kind of sandwiched all the way around it. And that just lets you strip paint really quick without really messing up the metal too much. They even sent us the narrow wheel kit. So it's a little adapter that goes on there, and it gives you a wheel that's half as wide, probably even a third as wide as a normal drum. This lets you get into a lot of the really tight spots in door jams and creases and stuff, which we're gonna need on this because this thing sat for a long time. So I didn't need that, it's fine. Move these over here. We're gonna get this box opened. It even comes with a disc on it. That's nice. So selfishly, one of the reasons I really wanted this tool is because in The Mandalorian, Mando uses one to redo his spaceship. Now I'm like a Mandalorian. It's pretty much the same thing. All right, so we got a handle we put on top here. Do that. This is a lot lighter than I thought it was going to be. It seems like it would be a very heavy tool, but it's actually pretty nimble. Let's see here. Tools, nice little tool pack. It's got some extra switches for the trigger. So, you know, if you know anything about angle grinders and sanders and stuff, these triggers tend to wear out, but theirs is completely rebuildable. So when your trigger breaks on you, you can just rebuild it. Get this handle put on real quick. It says you're supposed to read the instructions before you do anything, but we don't need those. Make sure this is snug. On the back side, there's a button. You hold that button, you get that button in lock, which is right there. Then you just, you don't want to go super Hulk or tight, just give it a little snug. Now I want to plug it in. So this tool is primarily designed to remove surface rust. The aggressive grits can remove paint, body filler, strips everything down to the metal. And because it's a drum sander that's spinning, it's going to score the metal and surface the metal so that your primer and your top coats can really bite really easy. So like the name states, it's a surface conditioner. I think they spin up to like 3,700 RPM with this variable speed here from 1 to 6, just kind of like any angle grinder that's variable. It does have a 9 amp motor in it, so it is a beast. A little bit of weight to it, but it's really easy, it's nimble, it's easy to maneuver. So we can go over the wheels too. Each wheel has a different purpose. This is an abrasive drum, so this is really good for stripping body filler, stripping finishes. This will strip down very quickly. This is like a 40 grit. We'll get this one out. This is a finishing drum, so this is a little bit finer. This one is, I think it rated at like 120 grit. You can see all the fibers in there. It's just really dense, like a Brillo pad, like a red Scotch-Brite, which is really cool. This is a stripping drum, but it's interlaced. So it's got your Brillo style pad in there, and then it's got sandpaper. So it's like a flat disc, but really wide, so you don't get any grooves dug into your finish. These are for doing large panels, and then of course you have the small versions of each of these that are substantially more narrow. So that way you can get into the tight spaces in the door jams and the engine bay and your floorboards, things like this. So this is gonna come in handy, and there's just a little adapter to put on here to space it out so that you have really nice ability to get into some of those spaces. The thing that really sets this off from other drum sanders that I really love, the head is almost completely open. A lot of drum sanders have this completely enclosed and they leave you about that much space to sand with. This is completely exposed, but with this being completely exposed almost 180 degrees, you can get into spots and really work it. You know, you can get in there and get the finish stripped off. Yeah, overall quality is really nice. The trigger feels really good. It even has a lockout on the side for the trigger. Grip, it feels comfortable in the hand. I think this is gonna be a really cool tool to use. So I think that's enough talking. I think we're gonna sand some stuff. We might start with a door. They step out of the way a little bit. You can see we've got the little red stripped down completely. We've got cab corner to repair still, which we're gonna take care of. And Eastwood is actually sending us rattle can for this year paint, base coat, clear coat paint for this car in a rattle can. They were able to color match it for us. So we're gonna do the whole firewall, okay, primer, then their OEM colors on top. And then the rest of it, we have a couple gallons of their paint from Eastwood. They color matched the little red, and we're gonna spray the whole thing afterwards. So, but we gotta get some of the old stuff off, and this is gonna do the trick. So let's get to it. Now I said we were gonna sand the little red door. You might notice it's blue. Anyone that's worked on anything from the 70s or the 80s knows most of it's rust. And the first thing that goes out on these trucks are the doors. So this is a donor door we got from the same year, make and model truck, but it was painted blue. So we're gonna get all this off so that we can paint it the proper red that it deserves to be. We're gonna start with this disc that came on it, this drum, see what it does. I don't think this will take us down to the metal, but I wanna see how thick this paint is. So start with this. I'm gonna start it out at like a 4. We're just gonna see what happens. One thing to note, this drum shape is actually really good for these kind of doors because you see they've got this really aggressive body line right here, this belt line. It's concaved on both sides. So this drum will just walk right up to that body line and sand really, really nice. So here we go. All right, so it's doing some work here. I'll get the camera and show you some of this, but this isn't quite aggressive enough to go into some of the filler work that we got going on down here. It's stripping the top coat really easy, but where we've got some multiple coats of primer and filler, it just doesn't have the tooth. So we're gonna upgrade to one of the more aggressive discs and start a bit better. Heat-wise, it did produce a little bit of heat with this less aggressive pad. I think that might be a combination of it just kind of gliding on the surface and the pressure I'm using. So anytime you sand on metal, especially doors, you wanna be careful because you don't want to generate too much heat because you'll get the metal start moving on you. So let's switch out this disc. That is a big difference. Very little pressure to strip that down in just a couple passes. I mean, that was maybe 15 seconds. I'll bring the camera over so you can see the difference here, but a couple of our low spots in the panel. So that's really nice. And it left the metal with this nice clean finish. You can see slight grooves in, like little scratches that are gonna let that filler, primer, whatever you're putting on top next to really bite into that. All right, we're gonna switch out this flap disc for this full Brillo. There's no sandpaper in this at all. This is just, but this is 120, this is 120. So the results should be very similar, but we're gonna find out. So it looks like this one is omnidirectional. So this one doesn't matter which way you put it on. Again, reverse threads. You're not going Hulk, you're just snug. Here we go. So this is the same grid, it's 120. This is definitely not as aggressive. Still produce a good amount of heat. Again, I use the same amount of light pressure across it. The other 120 having laps of sandpaper in them, it really just gave a really nice finish across the top here. It seemed like it stripped down to the metal a little more evenly, a little more quicker with the flap disc inside there. But it still did really great. I mean, this is way better than hitting it with a block and trying to get some of this stuff off. But we're gonna jump up to the next one, which is this stripping disc. This one's really going to be, let's see. So that's saying 112 right there. This one's 98, so this one's cooling down a good bit, but that's 106. It definitely is getting a lot of heat in there. So that's one thing to be mindful when you're stripping, is just don't put a lot of heat in here. Move around a good bit. Don't dig in one spot too much. But I'm curious to know if the stripping disc drum is going to produce as much heat, because it should remove stuff a lot faster. If you're doing it faster, less time on the panel, maybe less heat, but it's a lot more friction. So let's see what that one does. All right, so the abrasive drum, I'm just gonna refer to it as a stripping drum, because these are like the little cookies you can get for your sander, and they can really strip the metal down really fast. That is the equivalent of about a 40 grit. So we're gonna drop down from 120 to 40. So I imagine it's gonna strip this paint very quickly. So we'll have to be careful that we're not digging in at all. Be a little careful when you pull them off. There's these alignment rods that are inside here. They will fall out. Again, this one is also omnidirectional, so it doesn't matter what way it goes on. As long as you fall into those grooves, you're good. All right, here we go. I'm gonna do this 40 grit abrasive. See what this does. Yeah, that stripped very fast. 110, so that's even a lot cooler than these two here. I think just because it just strips so quickly. I mean, I'm down to the bare metal all the way across, double the size of these ones it took me to get to bare metal. So, and it's a better result. I mean, we stripped it all the way down, and I mean, it feels like a better surface too. Like, I wouldn't have any issues with cleaning this with some wax and grease and going right through some skim coats. That's really impressive. And that contour here, it just took all that out nice and clean. That is impressive. I like that a lot. This first one, it's really good for agitating, breaking through the surface a bit, but it's not going to get you down to bare metal very easy without generating a good amount of heat. This flap disc version, it's like 120 grit, so that would be good across of maybe like some bare metal, or if you're trying to just break through some surface stuff. But again, with the sandpaper in there, this is going to generate a good amount of heat too. The Brillo, again, this is, I think they said this one's rated at 120 as well, but there's no sandpaper in it. So it's just the Brillo. It did really good. It removed the paint. I felt like I wanted to use a little more pressure to try to strip some of this down. But this one was my favorite so far. I mean, this is a 40 grit, so it strips very quickly. But with that, you actually generate a little bit less heat. And I was able to cover almost double the amount of space and material in the same amount of time I used for these. So if you're stripping all the way down to bare and you're not sure what's there, I would probably start with this guy and then move up the grits if you're trying to get to a certain grit level before you put any surface on it. But you can always go back with a blocking system and block out the metal for any kind of substrate, whether you're going right from a filler or a skim coat or to a high build primer or an epoxy. Any of those will work right after one of these, because all of these have a really nice finish left on the bare metal. So one of these two, I'd have no issues going right to some primer to seal it and put a skim coat on there. But we're gonna put this to work on some panels on here, and we'll get some footage of that. So with the way this is set up and the way it's just really easy to use and it's compact, and we have the bed off this frame. We're gonna take the time to really strip it down, but these stripping discs just make really short work of conditioning a frame. So we're gonna show you that right here. Five seconds, like 3-4 passes, and now all that surface crud is just all knocked down really nice. We like to go back with rust encapsulator. You can brush this on, or you can actually put it in a spray gun and spray it out. But literally that much work, you spray this on, brush it on, and you have a brand new looking frame. So it's crazy how quick this works. We did all this around the front frame rails and everything, stripped down the paint with disc and it comes out this smooth. Just keeps impressing. So you have the old-fashioned way, nasty wire brush, and you had to go over it maybe 5-6 times and get all that crud off, and then you're still left with nasty metal, where one pass with this and we're down to almost perfectly clean metal. In labor hours, this is going to save you time in material. This is going to save you time in life, so you can get to enjoying these cars instead of letting them sit and working on them all the time. So let's get back to it. Get rid of this. So just a quick pass with that drum sander. It has nasty, flaky, crusty metal. Smooth, clean surface ready for paint. Just gonna take some rust encapsulator and brush it on. We're gonna do this real quick just to show how much of a transformation you can have with just a little quick pass with that sander and some quick brushing with this encapsulator. All right, so that's it for today. You saw us put this to work. Everything we're doing here, these are all sanding to remove material. Once the body is painted, they make options for these for buffing pads, polishing pads, things like this, so you can actually use this same compound and same format to buff and polish a vehicle. So we'll get into those once we get to that point. Again, we're using all the big stuff because we have really large panels that we have to work with, but with these adapters, you put these in place and you then have a surface that's a third of the size, so you can get into really tight areas very easily. We'll do some videos on that later. All in all, this has just really surpassed my expectations. I thought it was going to be good because of the open face, but it's got so much torque and so much power behind it that it really makes short work of removing material, cleaning material without damaging the substrate, without damaging the metal. We're going to be putting this to work a lot. I wanted to get some beauty shots before I got it all dirty, but I got a little excited. So if you want to know anything about this, have any questions, if there's anything you want to see us use this on, leave a comment for us and we'll try to get a video out to you, put into use. That's all I got for you guys. I appreciate you checking out the video. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more. And until next time, have a good one. I'm gonna go to work. Hey guys, as I'm editing this video, I forgot to mention that we now have our own affiliate discount code with Eastwood. MMW10 gets you 10% off your purchase at eastwood.com. That's our way of saying thank you to our friends, families, and our followers online. And it's Eastwood's way of thanking us for spreading the word about their product. They were awesome enough to partner with us and affiliate with us to get us this code. So next time you need to resupply or buy a new tool, go to eastwood.com and use MMW10 at checkout for 10% off. Thanks, guys.